It's John and Rachel, and we're jagging around again.
On Zoom again. It is for a good reason. We try to get as many jagging arounds as we can a week because we think people would rather hear about Pittsburgh people than read our blogs. And it saves us having to write a blog post for the day.
Right.
That's the reality.
Sort of very, very lazy. And
we take a break from jag-off drivers.
Right. So Ron Placone is on, and Ron is an ex-Pittsburgh, as we found out here.
You're never an ex.
Yeah.
Right.
A retired kind of soon-to-be boomerang Pittsburgh. But the cool thing is, Ron, we don't know that you know that the Jaggin' Around videos have been saved for elite members.
Yeah.
We've had the cast of
the Lion King, the Tiger King, not the Lion King. I would have rather the Lion King.
And we've actually had
Tiger Kings next year.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
We've had a NASA astronaut that grew up in Pine Township. So
yeah, you had Billy Gardell.
Billy Gardell, right? So, and we've had TC, the usher from PNC Park. So
who doesn't want that,
perfect. Ron, we have rolled out the red carpet for you, as you could probably tell here on Zoom.
Well, I will mention just, Billy Gardell really did me a solid back in the day when I had a morning show in Nashville for a hot minute, and Billy Gardell was one of like the first guests that was willing to do it. So he did, even though we've only met in person like one time. But we each, I lived in Swiss Elm Park for a little bit, which is where he grew up for a little while. So I kind of reached out to him with that in common, and he was willing to do my brand new show. So it was cool.
How cool is that? What a good dude. Wow. I love that stuff. But as Pittsburghers, we do that, right? Like if we run into somebody one time, we're like, oh, I'm good friends with Donnie Iris. Like you ran into each other in an elevator or something like that. Like,
and that's kind of what we do, Ron, here is, the phrase you jag off. We know it's something when somebody cuts you off on the Fort Pitt Bridge, you yell it. But the fact is, if I see you in the airport now and you have your Jack Lambert t-shirt or game day jersey tucked into your Sunday jeans, I'm going to say, Ron, how you doing, you jag off? Right. So anyways, we're going to shut up because you're coming to Pittsburgh this Saturday to Mr. Smalls. So tell us a little bit about when you left Pittsburgh, what you're doing in Los Angeles, and why you're coming back this Saturday.
Well, I'm coming back for a number of reasons. I mean, first and foremost, I got a little tour going on in the Northeast and in Canada, and it's been, the road has been very very scarce these past few years with the pandemic. So I'm super stoked to finally be doing a show in Pittsburgh. This show was supposed to happen in 2020, then it was going to happen later in 2020, then it was going to happen in 2021, and so I'm pretty stoked to finally be doing it. And part of the reason I did choose this weekend was because it kind of gives me a reason to have a nice Sunday off for Easter Sunday with my folks. So
nice.
So I'll get to see like a lot of my family and stuff like that, which will be really cool, and have a show Saturday night. And, then after that, I'm hitting the road for a bit, and I'm making a little circle. I'm doing like Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, then going back down to Burlington, Vermont, Portland, then Boston and New York City. And then it's home that it's home. I mean, I will say I've gotten a little bit acclimatized to warmer weather. So I don't know how well I'll handle this winter that I'm going to encounter. Not so much in Pittsburgh, but up in Canada, according to what I've been seeing, it's going to be kind of cold. So I know Pittsburgh, it's not so bad, but yeah, it's going to be cold up there. So
John and I were telling you before we came on, we had a lot of our share of Zoom interviews with comedians and performers and things like that. Of course, it's just not the same whenever you're doing it this way. So do you have any stories that you can reflect on?
Yeah, I have one story in particular that'll be really funny because there's a Pittsburgh anecdote in it. So I'll share that. And yeah, in general, I mean, the thing about Zoom, especially like stand-up comedy on Zoom, is it as good as the real thing? Absolutely not. It is
right.
It is nowhere close. It pales in comparison. Is it better than nothing? Yes, it is better than nothing. So it's like it's a cool tool when it's appropriate. I'm glad that we've discovered the potential of it. You know what I mean? But it's certainly no substitute for the real thing. But I had a kind of fun one. There's this comedy club here in the Los Angeles area called Flappers Comedy Club. and they did a lot of Zoom comedy. They would just like produce shows, but they were all on Zoom, and they had like a little pre-club music thing that they would do, and it was pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, it was fun for what it was, and the one neat thing about it, to be honest, was I got to meet comics from all over the world. I mean, I met this guy in Iceland who never would have been doing a set there otherwise because he lives in Iceland. And later this year, I'm doing the Iceland Fringe Festival. And, or the Reykjavik Fringe Festival technically is
wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's like things like that happened, which was kind of cool. But one time I was doing this Zoom show, and I have this bit about pizza and, my favorite types of pizza. And I do give a shout out to my favorite pizza place, which is Vincent's Pizza in Pittsburgh. That's there's a lot of great pizza places in Pittsburgh, and even where I live in San Pedro, so it's a little Italy of LA. So there's a lot of good pizza here too. But yeah, I kind of give Vincent's a little shout out because it takes part of the joke. And when I did that, I heard all these people like cheering and whatnot, and I was a little confused, but people were like just going nuts. And I'm like, yeah, my favorite pizza, because I just do it as an aside. Like, I'm like, this place Vincent's in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I'm from. And people were just like, oh my God. And then, so I had to acknowledge it, and I'm just like, are you guys? And so it turns out there was this big family from Pittsburgh. So it's like about 30 people in that Zoom room were all part of the same family, and they were all from Pittsburgh, and they were all there supporting one of the comics on the show who was a newer comic, and he's from Pittsburgh. I think he's based in New York now. But so yeah, they all got a kick out of that, and they really enjoyed the bit. And then I got an email from someone the next day about doing a potential benefit for them, which I said I'd do. I'd be happy to do it. I don't know if anything ever came of it, but yeah, it was pretty cool. Small world.
Ron is going to be again at Mr. Smalls this Saturday, 8 p.m. Tickets are on sale on the Mr. Smalls website. So Ron, when you come back to Pittsburgh, one of the things we found out this year is that of all years that, the fish fries are back here in Pittsburgh. And we did not realize that fish fries really are as much of Pittsburgh as even
it's Western PA. Pizza. Yeah. It's crazy.
When we come out to San Pedro there to visit you, because we're going to,
you didn't know that?
Yeah.
Come on by. I mean, look, I do. And I will say this is actually kind of fun. In my neighborhood, there is a Pittsburgh bar.
Is that right?
There is a bar called the Iron City Grill. And I'm assuming like someone affiliated with it is from Pittsburgh. I don't really know them like super directly, but they have Permane style sandwiches, and they show all the Pittsburgh sports.
And that's so cool. You hear that all the time.
My ending question was going to be, where would you take us? And I guess you would like take us over there.
There's a lot of cool spots I could take you to. I mean, it's the little Italy of LA, and we got the beach, and we got a lot of cool hiking. We got a lot of cool stuff. I live in the part of town called Sunken. Well, I don't live in it, but I'm right near an area called Sunken City, which is the part of Los Angeles that literally fell into the ocean many, many years ago. Now it's just a really cool place to go hiking, but you still see some of the debris. It's kind of interesting. And it's most famously, it's where have you seen The Big Lebowski? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's where they threw Donnie's ashes in.
Got it.
Not to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, but yeah.
So did you really see it?
I have seen The Big Lebowski. I have seen twice.
John doesn't watch movies.
I'm not a movie guy, but I'm have seen
with movies too. But yeah, Big Lebowski I've seen. But I will say this for any Pittsburgh folks who have family members and loved ones or friends out on the West Coast, do me this favor. Do not spoil sporting events for us. All right. I'm a huge Pittsburgh Penguin fan, and I need to rely on the ESPN Plus app to get the Penguins games because they took away the package the NHL had, which I'm a little bitter about, but we won't go there.
We get it.
They ruined it. But anyway, the NHL thing was so good. Anyway, but yeah, I literally had this conversation with my dad a few weeks ago. This is literally what happened. We're on the phone, and he goes, yeah, did you check out that Penguin game? And I said, I'm about to watch it right now. Actually, I haven't caught it yet, but I'm going to watch it right now. And he goes, you didn't miss anything. I'm like, Dad, I said I'm about to watch it. And he goes, well, he tried to save it. He goes, well, I'm not trying to spoil anything, but I'm just saying you didn't miss anything.
I'm just saying.
Like, what do you mean? I'm pretty sure that means we lost, Dad. I'm pretty sure. Like, what do you think? I'm going to be watching this game. I'm like, oh, we're down by 3 goals. I bet we come back. And my dad just wasn't into it. I'm sure that's what's going to happen next. I think you just told me what happened, Dad.
You said you went to Duquesne, right?
I went there for grad school. Yeah, I did my undergrad at Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana. But yeah, so I've traveled around a little bit. I mean, I lived in Seattle for a few years. I lived in Nashville for a while, and then I went to college in the state of Indiana, and then I was back in Pittsburgh for a few years.
It is so funny that you just treated me like a Yinzer. You were like the state of Indiana, not IUP, Rachel. Indiana University.
Well, when I went there in college, when I'd come back on break or whatever, it was totally common to be like, oh, where do you go to school? And I'd be like, yeah, I go to Indiana University. And then someone would be like, I can't believe I haven't run into you. I mean, I'm staying at, and they would name like some dorm that I'd never heard of. And they would name like, and I'm like, I think we're talking about IUP. So it's just
you're like IUP is an hour and 12 minutes. I'm not there.
I'm a little further than that.
A little further.
But both good places, just different.
How cool is it that Mr. Smalls Funhouse is actually going to have comedian? Are you by yourself, Ron, or is somebody coming to open for you?
No, I have a couple openers. My buddy Krish Moen, who's a local comedian, he's going to be doing a set. And then a friend of mine out in New York, Lauren Ashcraft, she's going to be doing a set. She's
cool.
Based in New York, very, very funny, doing some awesome sketch stuff out in New York. And she also ran for Congress a couple years ago. And she's actually she's a couple districts away. I think she's 2 districts away from AOC. So she ran for Congress a couple years ago. She did not win, but she has a lot of pretty amazing stories about
That's
it.
awesome.
It's 8 o'clock, Mr. Smalls. They can get tickets. And as we go out there, just kind of what can people expect as far as if they don't know you're on? Because we know Yinzers are going to come go, I remember you, that kind of stuff. But some good tips on being of not heckling or not trying to be.
This is John's like he gets a lunatic.
Frankly, how do you not be a jag-off in the audience?
Term of endearment.
That's fun. You told me your son's a comedian, and I could tell. You're like telling people, you're like, don't heckle. Don't do that. They don't like that. That's not a thing. You're not helping. Don't do that.
You're not helping.
He turned into your dad. Did you notice that? Yeah.
Yeah. I had to write a write-up for Iceland where I actually had to write like what people can expect. Because I just love alliteration so much. I put punk rock, puns, politics, and Placone got married, and of course cats. I couldn't find anything that starts with P for cats. but yeah, I'm a recently married guy with cats. I talk about what's going on in the world. I like music, and pizza's in there too because I have a bit about.
How could
pizza.
it not?
Nice. Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. And people can grab tickets also at my website, ronplacone.com. That's probably the easiest place to go for the Pittsburgh show and for all the other Northeast shows I got going on.
And you have a podcast?
Yep. My podcast is called Get Your News On with Ron. That's available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube and also on Twitter. I stream on Twitter, directly on Twitter. So I'm at Ron Placone on all those platforms. And, I'm working on a movie as well. So I got a few things in the works. And you can go to my website, ronplacone.com, for all that stuff. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, all social media at Ron Placone.
You made it easy.
Right. Give us a come out to Mr. Smalls, you jag-offs. Go ahead.
Come out to Mr. Smalls, you jag-off. April 16th, 8 p.m., Saturday night. RonPlacone.com for tickets.